Now imagine this playing out for any other crime that's there. We'll just take a look at the headline first and foremost so we can set the stage for this, because this is absurd. I never thought that we'd get to this point, but man, here we are. It is 2022 after all. Pennsylvania sex therapist employed by state prison defends pedos. Interesting. Okay. Would a Pennsylvania murder apologist ever be employed in order to defend serial killers? Is that the situation that we're ever going to find ourselves in? Could you imagine? Could you imagine anything else playing out like this? It's like, oh no, that guy, old Miguel over there, he was just wandering around with the shiv because he's a knife enthusiast. Don't mind the 17 people that he stabbed. Or you got Nancy in the other part, that the ward that's over there, and yeah, she just needs to be better trained on being a motor vehicleist, okay? Don't mind that little daycare that she ran through, or we're hiring a babysitter coach to teach Casey Anthony better practices on how to take care of her infant instead of trying to teach him to swim at several months old. But anyways, if you didn't think that this was the ultimate end goal in order to destigmatize and deregulate pedophilia, well, we're here. This is the most blatant example that I've seen from the institution so far. They've been trying this for years and years and years, and this was ultimately what was going to happen. Just wait until the LGBTQP plus agenda starts rolling out. You just wait for it. Might not be this year, might not be next year. It's coming. Just like them on little kids' faces. The sex therapist advocating for feelings of pedophiles and employed by the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections is making waves with a social media video explaining why society should stop using the word pedophile and start using maps. No, that's fine. We're all fine with maps, right? They belong on walls. Yup. I think you can finish that thought by yourself. But yes, maps do belong as the popular nomenclature, followed up by that direction. Pedophile has moved from being a diagnostic label to being a judgmental, hurtful insult that we hurl at people in order to harm them or slander them. Yeah, because there's nothing more vile than fucking a child. There you go. I'll lay it out for you. If you don't like the term pedophile, cool. How about kid fucker? It kind of cuts through all the jargon, don't you think? You don't need to remember what M, A, or P stands for. And even for the more politically correct-minded people that are out there, kid diddler. That's fine too, right? Miranda Galbreath. It's always a woman. It's always some liberal white woman. I don't know who she is. I could just imagine. She probably has some fucking faux 80s hairdo, okay? Or maybe she has a bunch of knacker tattoos. It never fails. Oh my gosh. She said in her video, which has been removed from YouTube, but is still on Twitter. Yeah, of course, because Twitter, alongside Facebook, are the largest purveyors of child pornography on the internet. You don't believe me? You can find it on there, unfortunately. Like the most famous case, and the reason I don't use my official Twitter account, whatever that means, okay, I don't use that Twitter account anymore, is because Twitter had a video of a leaked material from a 14 or a 16-year-old boy. He was coerced in making a video. It was up there on the platform being shared around. It had tens of thousands of views. The person who was in the video petitioned Twitter to have it taken down, but Twitter resisted doing it because it didn't violate their guidelines. Twitter loves pedophilic content. Fuck off. Yet, hey, good on YouTube. It's not often that you can say YouTube had a good decision on this, but looks like pedophilia is a step too far. Now, when it comes to profiting off of the exploitation of children, they should probably work on doing that, because how many merch reads do you need to have for the Paul brothers to really start to raise an eyebrow? Anyways, I also prefer person-first language that recognizes that any label that we might apply to a person is only part of who they are and doesn't represent everything that they are. So yeah, you could be a white kid fucker, a Latina kid fucker, an Asian kid diddler, a black kid diddler, whatever you want. You just need to have the entirety of their being encapsulated in the description. Hate this lady. We are people first, not pedophiles. Pedophiles aren't people. We, with many different facets, are parts of ourselves. And this includes folks who are attracted to minors. Nope, it doesn't. That's a crime. It'll never not be a crime. Nobody will ever be convinced otherwise. That's one of those final frontiers. You can get away with a lot of fuck shit. A lot of people will take a stand in order to defend their expression once they're of age, okay? If you want to have your big old kink parade, which is the pride parade, where you're just flopping your dicks around just saying that it's because of who I am, not because I'm a degenerate. But as soon as you start to cross into what affects people's kids, that's where people start to draw the line. At least that's where it is right now. But those type of people, they've seceded so much ground. Hopefully I don't see it in my generation. But when it comes to this type of stuff with kids, no, man. My line is way, way, way back in the distance. It discounts a lot of people that are currently being accepted in society. But I'm not the ultimate ruler of Earth. Yet. Galbraith explains the view that pedophiles simply have an enduring sexual or romantic attraction to minors. That's supposed to make it better? Again, okay, now I've heard this argument thrown out there by a lot of different people, okay? Anybody who's a pedophile should be shot and whatever the hell, whatever you want to do, okay? If that's your ideology, if that's what you think, that's fine, okay? But we need to define what a pedophile is. I think Galbraith does a pretty decent description there, at least that gets you in the door of what is a pedophile. But the moment somebody acts on those predilections of sexual or romantic attraction to a minor, as soon as somebody obtains child pornography or engages in sexual acts with a kid, they become a pedophile, and I wouldn't even waste the cot space in any jail or correctional facility in the country, let alone the world. Age of consent is there for a reason. Do not violate it. And if you're out there on the scene and you think that there's a girl who's looking awfully good, but you think that she might be a little bit young, card these hoes. Don't find yourself in a bad situation. Don't get yourself caught up in trying to use the law. It's like, well, she looked like she was 18. Don't be doing that type of stuff, okay? And I'm not advocating for going after older women. They've made their bed and they can fucking line it alone with their cats. I could give less of a fuck about them. But you got to play it correctly. And pedophiles, under no circumstance, as soon as they cross that barrier, no, shit, there's places, there's cannons, and there's sons, and that's where you can throw them, not like little male offsprings. I'm talking like the big fucking yellow one that's up there in the sky. But yeah, like I was saying, I've heard this conversation thrown around there again. It's like, okay, if you have a theoretical friend, okay, you have a hypothetical friend that comes to you and is looking for assistance, it's because they have these predilections again, okay? They see a really, in their opinion, a really attractive 12-year-old. That makes me physically ill to say, but let's just throw it out there as a hypothetical, okay? They have these predilections in their head. They haven't acted on any of them. They haven't downloaded any illicit material, okay? They haven't done anything, but they have these really strong basal urges. Would you turn them into the authorities? Okay, it's like, well, it's not a crime or anything like that, and they should go seek help. And if they're going to go seek help in order to get that worked out of their psyche, that's totally fine, okay? But the moment they cross that barrier, I have no sympathy for them at all whatsoever. You do something fucked to a kid, then nothing on earth when it comes to torture, except for some medieval gimmicks, okay, would be proper treatment for you. Like, I think flaying should probably be brought back, but that's just me. Again, that's just me. How would I handle a theoretical friend? Well, first, of course, but we're engaging in a hypothetical. I'd never have a friend that had, you know, those type of feelings towards a minor, because none of my friends drive panel vans or have creepy mustaches. But let's just say somebody comes to me looking for help in order to quell those urges. Yeah, I'd help them find a mental health care provider in order to work through those urges, because there's a bunch of weird shit that people like to do. And as long as they don't act on them, as long as they don't manifest them, okay, that's fine. You haven't committed an act yet, because there's been 100,000 million times that I've been out driving, and I just hope and I just pray that one day there will be that big red button that shows up on my dash that I could press, and that rockets would just come out of the headlights and just blow up every vehicle on the road. Now, does that make me a murderer? No. Does that make me want to become a murderer? No. It's just a funny scenario, and it makes me laugh, okay? But the moment that I press that button, if it ever does show up, then I become a murderer or a hero in internet culture, a la the Killdozer guy. But he didn't kill anybody. But anyways, back to maps and why they belong on walls and not as a replacement term for pedos. They've not chosen this attraction. Yeah, there's a lot of things that people are attracted to, like animals, okay? And there's laws on the books for that. I think there's bestiality laws, and if there isn't, there should be, okay? You don't do that. because it's wrong and it's immoral, and you'll get hair on your palms by doing that. Anyways, just as the rest of us have not chosen whatever our attraction is. I would love to see this bitch's Twitter feed and how many times that she derides Trump supporters. This is wild. This is fucking amazing. Anyways, you don't get to choose to be heterosexual or to be gay or whatever you are. That's funny, because I thought the gender was a spectrum and you can put yourself on anywhere that you want and that you need a gender affirming coach. It's just fucking weird how these people contradict themselves at all times. You don't get to choose to be a minor attracted person. No, you choose whether or not you act on those or excise those from your psyche. Just saying. And again, 14-year-olds are attracted to 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds are attracted to 15-year-olds, 18-year-olds are attracted to 18-year-olds, and 32-year-olds are attracted to 19-year-olds. Just saying. They are the most vilified population in our culture, Galbraith said, for justifiable reasons. And most folks make incorrect assumptions about them without knowing much about them. And those assumptions create harm for an already marginalized population, trying to make pedophiles a protected class. Did you ever think you'd live to see the day? Oh boy. Galbraith works at the State Correctional Institution in Albion, Pennsylvania. Again, people who are in said institution, okay? Like it says here, her online resume describes her job duties, including, but not limited to, providing sex offender risk assessments, conducting cognitive behaviorally based sex offender treatment groups. She works with these people, and she's trying to justify their thoughts and the reasons that they're in jail. So now they have this complex where they think that they've been unjustifiably imprisoned for just their basal urges. This is ridiculous. This is teaching people to not be responsible for acting on their own urges. This is so retarded. Like right now, I would love to be eating a big old Twix bar the size of me, okay? I would like a 6.5 foot tall Twix bar, okay? I like Twix. I'm not eating one right now because even though that's my urge to do it, I know that's not good for me, okay? And again, just use that application as things that are unhealthy for you and for society are not pursued. Okay, if you can't justify it, you can't fucking do it. Simple as that. I don't need a fucking degree in order to just express something that is so patently fucking obvious. Anyways, calls for removal. Pennsylvania Senator Doug Mastriano, the Republican candidate for governor, thank God, base Doug is on the case, sent a letter to the Department of Corrections demanding that this pedophile be thrown on the other side of the jail bars. Anyways, to say I'm disturbed would be an understatement. It just cuts to the point. Oh, I love this, because have you ever seen like a comment in a comment section or an article before they even get to what they want to talk about? They have all of this fucking flowery preamble, and it's like, I'd like to thank you for listening to this, and oh my God, may God bless you this day. And before I'd like to say this, I just want to say this up front. It's like, shut the fuck up and just get to the point. If you want to have your flowery language at the back end, that's totally fine. Just take a public speaking course. They just tell you that you need to hook somebody on what you're talking about in the first 5 to 10 seconds. Otherwise, they lose their attention, and it's nearly impossible unless you start to just put people on fucking unicycles and honk a clown nose, or just, start waving your fucking hands everywhere, start lighting things on fire. You're not going to get their attention back. Anyways, to say I'm disturbed would be a bit of an understatement. Galbraith made some indefensible claims during the 10-plus minute video that attempts to destigmatize adults who sexually abuse children as misunderstood and vilified. How could you come to that conclusion? Okay, Mastriano wrote. Not Doug. He's once again on point when it comes to this stuff. Just that fucking cretin. She has the nerve to suggest using the word pedophile causes harm to those convicted of sexual crimes against children. Oh my God, that's like calling a murderer, or Bill Gates is a bioterrorist. Anyways, the revolting rhetoric prioritizes the humanity of child abusers over the protection and healing of their victims. Yeah, no, exactly. That's a very valid point, Doug. Let's see how she takes us. Galbraith's reprehensible view has no place in our state prisons, I would say society, let alone our society. Doug, man, if I lived in Pennsylvania, God forbid, I would be voting for Doug as many times as several people in previous elections in Pennsylvania voted. I demand her professional relationship with our state end immediately and request a response regarding her involvement in counseling inmates at state correctional institutions and the extent to which this extremist, let's use proper pronunciation, ideology has infiltrated the department. Yeah, exactly. Again, if she's counseling pedophiles on how to be better pedophiles in the future, and somebody who has at least a hope or has a probability of ever being paroled, this is dangerous. You're treating people, or rather creating better criminals inside prisons, something that has been long thought of and long considered to be happening for a long time, and now it's just out here in the open. Josh Shapiro, the Democratic candidate for governor, specifically, asked for comment whether he would keep Galbraith on the payroll or remove her when Josh is governor. This looks like it's probably a spokesperson. Okay. Anyone who takes a lenient view towards child abusers will not have a role to play in this administration. No, okay, cool. Now do your boss. Will Simmons, Shapiro's campaign spokesperson, and he uses he, they pronouns. In the meantime, specific questions about this woman's employment with the Department of Corrections should be referred to them. Neither the Department of Corrections nor the Democratic Governor Tom Wolf's office responded to a request for comment. Yeah, because he probably put her in place for very good reasons. Galbraith has a YouTube channel called Sexual Safety Space, where she talks about the given topic with titles including, let's talk about penises, let's talk about abortion, let's talk about sexual abuse of men and boys, and how do you reconcile that with your pedophile apologetics? I'm just wondering. Okay. In her video, let's talk about consent. She says, she does say that a person must be old enough to legally offer consent to engage in sex. Must be an older video. Okay, those are outdated ideas. Holy. It's on each of us to know what legal age of consent is in the place where we live. Exactly. Just always assume it's 18 in the Western world, okay? Just don't be fucking dabbling any younger than that, okay? And if you have an inkling that the person looking across from you is younger than that, just ID them. Never take the fucking risk, because as guys, you will always be hit with that. Even if she tells you that she's 18 and it turns out that she doesn't turn 18 for like 3 or 4 months, okay, you are still fucking somebody or trying to fuck somebody who is underage. Don't do it. Never, ever, ever run that risk. I've thankfully never had that situation forced upon me, mostly because I'm very proactive in making sure that doesn't happen. Anyways, what did this pedo apologist say? I will suggest to you that if you're asking yourself the question, is this person legally old enough to consent to sexual contact with me in my state, you probably should not be sexual with that person. Oh my God, I just agree. Oh my God, I don't like how we're saying the same talking points. Looks like a broken clock can be right once a day, mostly because you probably have another video. Let's talk about the sexual pleasure that a clock hand can give, because you're thinking that it is an indicator that there's probably some concern there. So yeah, again, take that ideology and try to foist it upon your pedophilic apologetics and just see how incongruent those ideas are. But that's what you get from a general leftist anyways. This is just a microcosm of how that ideology is just incongruent with real fucking life. Stop trying to sexualize children, for Christ's sakes, and let's just not just keep the stigma around pedophile, okay? Let's try to fortify that shit. Let's try to make that as bad as the left wants racist or transphobe or bigot to be, okay? I want pedophile to be up there on a pedestal that can be used against the leftists who have map apologetics, or people who want to have real hard discussions about pedophiles. Just throw out that term whenever you hear stupid shit like that. And I want it to hurt just as bad as the rest of those right-wing conspiracy theories are, because, hey, it's just fucking right here on Front Street at this point. They want to fuck your kids. Don't let them. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.